Hello and welcome to this edition of Consider This. I'm your host, Charles Lake. Today we want to cover high blood pressure. And it's not just the salt you have to watch out for. It's the chemicals in the food packaging and in the food that you have to worry about. It's not regular chemicals that are in the food, but the chemicals that the FDA allow to flavor your food. Really good, right? If food don't taste good enough, we'll make it taste good enough. There we go. All right. So, before we get started, again, I got to make my pitch. Please join us on Patreon. It's $5 a month. It's to keep our research and website and YouTube and the hardware and software that we need to keep doing these shows. I say I'm a one-man show, but far from it. My wife does all the stuff in the background. She used to be an IT person for college, and she keeps me running. So, with that being said, let's go over here and start. Now, styrene comes in the polystyrene food containers, both hard and soft. The foam, the soft is the foam, and that leaches into your food. If you put especially the hotter or the greasier the food that you put on it or in it'll soak into the food. So this shows that we have low doses into the air, which stay in the air all the time because our automobiles spew it out, or diesel engines spew it out, or home heating. If you don't have electric home heating, it spews it out. So styrene is always in the air, and they say they have eliminated from flavoring our food, but they didn't exactly eliminate it. I went into that in one of our other shows, and if you need to, let me know. Put a message on the Patreon site. This is probably going to be the last show that's going to be free, because we have to start making money so we can get some things that we need for the show. So I'm hoping I'm giving you enough time, because I'm very dyslexic and I miss words sometimes. But styrene has been found in very low doses in the air, which we know. And it's also in our food containers, and it caused cardiovascular disease, styrene exposed workers. But people are getting exposed to it almost as much as the workers nowadays, because it's everywhere. It's in the carpeting, it's in the paint, it's everywhere. It's part of what's in the glues that hold the particulate furniture together. Like I said, it's in the foam backing under the carpet. I'm going to have to, I vetted it, but I haven't put it up yet. And I did a show several years back because a New York State police officer came to me, and his mother had sold her house, big farmhouse that he was raised in. And he says, my mom bought a modular, and she's been really, really sick, and the doctors don't know what to do for her. And he knew I suffer from the styrene and everything, and he knew I was wasn't doing great, but I was doing a lot better than his mom. So he asked me what to do, and I'm hoping you're still reading this. And I told him to put the only plant that eats styrene is the spider plant. I says in a spider plant, a medium-sized spider plant will take care of 200 square feet of your house. So if you put a spider plant in each room, it will take care of the styrene in the house. And there's a lot of styrene, and the other chemicals that's used in the glues and stuff is benzene, which is part of, we went through this in one of the other shows. They use benzene to make styrene. And the best plant for that was the philodendron. And so he went and got some plants and he put it in his mom's house. And they grew like crazy. He was like, wow, they just grow. But you can go in the house and it don't smell no more. It don't have that chemical smell. And we seen that problem with in 2010 with all the trailers that they brought for people to live in after the hurricane went through Louisiana, New Orleans, and the people said they were getting sick from the trailers, and that's basically why. Everything is glued together, and they use the heavy duty glues, which is part styrene and part benzene and part this and part that. So, but they know it causes hypertension. They found that, exposure it affects the cardiovascular system, and smoke of fossil fuel combustion and others, and so I'm hoping that you'll read at least the abstract and the conclusion. That's how I make all the of what I put on my website. If I can read the abstract, being an old truck driver, I wasn't a scientist, I was a truck driver, and in reading the conclusion, and if it makes logical sense to me, then I put it on the website. And so this here shows that we're getting poisoned on a constant basis, and our children are getting all these diabetes, hypertension, and all these problems a lot younger than we did. So this is something that has to be looked at. Let's go to the next one. And we should read the whole abstract here, because it's a mechanism for cardiovascular disease, which there's various chemicals. It's not just the styrene. It's the forever chemicals. We're being bombarded with chemicals, both from our food packaging and the 4,000 food flavorings that the FDA grandfathered in the 50s. So, and they never, and you would thought that they would have done some kind of research after they grandfathered them in to make sure, but that's not how the FDA works. They're all for the corporations, and we the people suffer. We the people pay the medical cost. And that's what the FDA was there for, to protect the people, not the corporations. And if you've seen my two shows on the FDA being asleep at the wheel, and the FDA asleep at the wheel explained, you get a lot of, but a lot of these chemicals also bring up your cholesterol and all kinds of levels, and so these are worth reading. A lot of it you can get through the first part of what they're having to say, but so let's go to the role of, and this abstract is pretty let's see here, and I bring it down one. Let's keep it there. So in 2000, an estimated 972 million adults had hypertension. It affects, so, and this is the role of toxins in the development of hypertension. So, I mean, we're being bombarded, and they talk mostly about workers, but everybody's getting bombarded with it nowadays. It's not just the workers, it's in our food, because it's in the air, and when it rains, these chemicals will attach themselves to the raindrops and get into the soil, and then they get into the grasses, and our animals eat it, and then we eat our animals. So we're the top of the food chain, so everything down here, our vegetables and everything that these chemicals can get into, all come up, and they're in us after we eat everything. So this is why we should, and here we go, exposure to some airborne chemicals increase blood pressure. And styrene, and I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it, styrene in cigarette smoke, styrene is one chemical in the cigarette smoke. And if you look at the side effects from styrene and the side effects from cigarette smoke, and you overlay them, you'll see that they're almost identical. So the nicotine, that's the hook. It's also a poison, but it's the hook. It gets you addicted. The styrene is more of the killer. It gives you the high blood pressure, the diabetes, it just goes on and on and on, because it destroys the central nervous system. Excuse me. So, and the VOCs are styrene is used in everything, and it's very good solvent. So, you ever walk into your kid's school after they've done the floors and your head gets a little woozy? Well, that's all the chemicals from what they use in the floors. They really shouldn't do the floors when the kids are in school. And the people that do the floors should wear a respirator. But, it's just, oh well, we're going to live forever. No, you're not. And I'm getting towards the end of life. I'm going to be 69 this year. And, I might have some years left, but, what happened to me, and like I said, 1992 is when I got poisoned and when I got pulled out of work. I was 38 years old. And I was on Social Security. And Social Security don't give you squat. And people you did it for the money. What money? I was making $85,000 a year with my truck. And I got on Social Security, it gave me $590 a month. And I had 4 kids home. And they gave each one of them a little over $100. I think it came, the total amount that from Social Security to my family was $920 a month. Where the hell are you getting a rent? How are you feeding your family? You got to go on welfare. And I couldn't go on welfare because I owned a 1983 Kenworth tractor. I didn't own the trailer. I just owned what they call the horse. And finally, after 3 months and living on a bag, we got one of our friends donated us a 20-pound bag of rice. So my 4 kids and my wife and I ate rice for months, and got kind of creative with it, make it taste different, try to find some flavoring for it. But yeah, and I did a show on Social Security, and you really should take a look at it. But they know this is just destroying the human body. It attacks. So, and this is a paper I did in 2004 when I was in college. Last year I was in college. And we have to go all the way down, page 5, I think. Yeah, here we go. Serotonin is what works a lot of our blood vessels and stuff. And I got this from it's up in Ohio, Toledo School of Medicine. I got this off their website. They have taken it down since then. So, it tells you serotonin comes in several different receptors, and each one's a little different. So, so if you want to read these, but I did notice, because I had a migraine for 8 years. The first 8 years I got poisoned, I had a migraine that changed in severity, and it would give me a migraine-induced stroke. I had 7 migraine-induced strokes from 92 to 99. The last one was December 13th, 1999. And that was a pretty bad one too. And I had already signed up for school, so when I first went to school, kids are bad when you're 40-something years old, and you come to school and you can't talk right because you're just getting over a stroke, and you're mumbles. They used to call me mumbles, but I got even with them. I ended up being some of their tutors towards the end of, after I got my voice back and everything. And that's why my wife says I never stop talking. So, yeah, she's right. But, this one here, when I had the migraines, when they got really bad, I used to take my blood pressure. And I always found it was a lot higher with the migraine than without the migraine. And I couldn't get nobody to listen to me, now I get migraines without the headache, which are way worse because you don't know what's going on at first. Your head and neck feels like it's going to explode, and you're having problems with lights and stuff. And at first, you don't want to recognize it. And then when you finally recognize it, you have to sit in a dark room. You can't, look at a computer, forget it. Look at a TV set, forget it. So this is stuff that you have to look at. And as you can see, the different receptors do different things. The smooth muscle. When I went for my first catheterization in 1993, right after being, it wasn't even a year after being poisoned, they went to put there's the University of Toledo. They had to put a IV in my arm, and they ended up putting a needle on each side of the vein because my vein was so hard that every time they went to get the IV in, the vein would shoot off to the side. So since then, since we found out what I suffer from and everything, and I've gotten away from most of the plastic. You can't get away from all the plastic, but I've gotten away from most of the plastic and polystyrene. My veins have gotten softer. So some of the effects can be eliminated, but it took many years. So, and you know, the 5-HT2 they say is gastrointestinal, and this is the last 6 months I was driving. I could pass, my truck could pass anything but a bathroom because the polystyrene food containers, I used to unload them 3 to 4 times a week out of asbestos trailers, which you're not allowed to go into a building with asbestos, but we'll haul your food with it, or your food product with it, especially seeing that the polystyrene food containers were packaged in perforated plastic bags from W.R. Grace. So, they say your intestines, your vascular smooth muscle, and hypertension and migraine. So these things are all linked, and that's why I tried taking my blood pressure every time I had a migraine. I haven't been doing it lately. I really should start again. But, I thought maybe somebody knows a little more than I do and can use this information. And I'm hoping everybody can use this information to write your congressman, write your senator, write your state representatives, your state senator and assemblymen, or whatever they call your local, your representative to the state, and even write your town officials, get them involved. This is something that's going to affect your children, your grandchildren, the future. They say our children are the future, and our future looks pretty dim right now because of the greed of the corporations. The last show we just did was the PFOAs, or what's exactly? PFASs, which PFOA and PFOS are all included. And all these corporations decided that, instead of us cleaning up the mess, it should be left to the taxpayers after they made their trillions of dollars. So it's the same thing with all the other ones. I bet you it's going to be identical. Once one corporation does it, the others follow. So please, be healthy, take care of yourself, get away from plastic, and just stay safe. The next episode will probably be on how styrene affects your hearing. I know that really well because I'm now wearing hearing aids because of the styrene that I was exposed to and all the other chemicals. So, again, stay safe, be well, and don't forget about our Patreon site and become a member. It's like giving me a cup of coffee for the information that you don't have to search for. It'll be there when you need it. And you can leave messages for me on the Patreon site. And I thank you.